How you doing, Newtown? What a night, huh? So, Carnival of the Bold, lovely Zara is going to hand me... Oh, no, you've given me the questions. I know, right? Okay, well, Simon, are you going to come up? Let's get this ball rolling. I think all of our wonderful performers should come up. And I'm not Mikey, Leon, Chris Wright, Andrea, Kendra, Adam Hill, Melanie Lee. I mean, wow. I feel like, you know, maybe, do you think they'll give me a show on the ABC? Like a chatty man type show?
We can all be Christopher Pine at the same time.
Cam. Wow, we all here? Who's missing from the group? Is anyone? Now, I'm not even sure if we're like asking you. I mean, if you're asking us any questions. Is that the idea? I guess it is. It really is like the Q&A on ABC, isn't it, with Tony Jones? Isn't it? I think he interrupts these people a lot, though, don't you think? Far too many politicians. Anyway, I'm going to start with Simon. I'm going to ask Simon a question. So I think you did mention it, though, earlier, but one of the questions is, tell us about your funny episode when you actually met Pauline in person. Did you mention that before?
Oh, one of them, there was the photograph where she came out the bowling club and I told the story about how the federal police sort of got the guy with no neck to sort of wedge me behind him. That was one time, but the other time was actually like years later, about 5-6 years ago. She was releasing her autobiography, and a friend and I just happened to come across it walking through the city, and then we were in Pitt Street Mall, and there was, oh my God, there's Pauline Hanson signing books, and I was dressed like this, and I thought, well, she doesn't know who I am, so I went up and you know, I didn't have any photographs with her, so I actually went up and got the book and sort of like got the photograph, you know. So that was it, but she didn't know who I was. So yeah, it was a very special meeting. It was a little bit like your Lou Reed meeting, in fact. Yeah.
I haven't ever shared this in public before, but I had a Pauline Hanson moment. I went down, I was in a hurry and starving, and I went down to David Jones' food court and had Thai, and there she was sitting right next to me and staring at me the whole time, giving me evils.
What was she eating?
I didn't take notice. I just noticed she was looking at me with this severe look, and I was just hungry. I just wanted to eat. I could have gone, you know, crazy and done stuff. Adam, how do you like being called Adam, or do you want to be called as your Black Douglas at this minute? I know, right? How has Australia responded to your art and your statements? What kind of response do you get?
Well, yeah, with mixed reaction, but like the little blurb in the catalogue here says that it doesn't. I don't really. If adults can't get this and be comfortable with what we're projecting, then obviously there's some more growing up to do. The kids are going to get it more so because kids are more, you know, open-hearted, and so that's all that matters. And like it says in that statement, when a student emails you and says, "I'd like to study for my HSC major work," you know, bam, that's you know you've nailed it, and you know you're reaching the right audience, you know.
Actually, I want to get that microphone. And I'll use this one, and you guys can use that. Is that a good idea? Yeah. Oh, wow. Who's that great heckler? I'm loving that heckler. It's got such projection. And Andy, I'm going to ask you, Andrea Kendrick. Thanks, Simon. What are your views on racism in Australia from an African American perspective?
It's here. What do you mean, what are my views on it? I don't like it.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I like. Oh, that's right. Sitting close to you.
These questions have been supplied by Carnival of the Bowl, just so you know. I know, right, Zara, Kevin. I'm not pointing any fingers. Tell us, I'm going to stick with you, Andy. Tell us any positive stories of how storytelling has influenced someone's life. Is it like Adam with having that kind of...
For Glebe Stories, I called a guy, and he goes around in a small motorcycle club, and they do good things for people. They help them furnish places. He helps feed people, and he said that I said wanted to invite you to do this because we want your stories of the community and your work with the community. And he said okay, and then he called me back and he said, oh, I can't do it, and I said, like an adult that I am, okay, if you change your mind, it would be really good if you let me know, because I agree that you have a right to do whatever you want to do, and we would like to have you, and it's okay. So thanks a lot. All right, goodbye. And he came, and he did the show. No pressure, of course. He came and he did the show, and part of the things that we did was, after they finished telling the story, I would sit with them like you're doing, and ask questions, and let the audience ask questions. And afterwards, he came and he said to me, I am so glad I did that. I'm so glad I got this story, and people really liked it. And he was lifted by that, because he was telling the people about the work he was doing, and he wasn't getting paid for it, but he was getting such good feedback from the people he did it with, and now he could share. And a few people in the audience said, "Can we give you a little donation to help you with your work?" And he didn't mind that at all.
Beautiful. That's wonderful. You earlier, when we were having our casual, setup for the show, you were talking a bit about those great women's, because these are all my heroes, and you were kind of very casually dropping them, talking about.
I was a broadcasting major. That's why I met Malcolm X, because he was trying to get on his campus and get some more publicity, and because I was a broadcasting major, and then Coringa was the first Black student body president, we got him on, and that was a big hit. But one of the things I did was I said to Nancy Wilson one night, I'm going to play music for you. And I did, only I forgot to take off the other music that was playing at the same time. And that was my big moment.
Uh-oh.
I had such mic fright that even doing an exam in the studio, I would have to turn off all the lights so I couldn't even see myself. It is such a thrill to be able to sit here with a mic in my hand and actually talk to people and not be worried. But they were such great women. My aunt, songwriter, Jessie Mae Robinson, nobody ever knows her. But she wrote The Other Woman for Nina Simone.
You're telling me about the Nina Simone.
Wrote, Let's Have a Party for Elvis Presley. I could just go on and on. About 20 Australian artists have recorded her music. But she is just totally unknown. But she was such an influence in my life because she was the first woman I ever saw who was so cool. And when somebody would say something rude to her, mean to her, she'd say, "Excuse me, could you say that again and explain?" Yeah, wow. So she was, all of those women who were out there at the time.
But she did her thing, though. I mean, she wrote her music regardless of where she got in her
Yeah, she was
career.
on Billboard in 3 different, rhythm and blues, pop. I mean, Patti Page had I Went to Your Wedding was a hit for, every week we'd run home to watch the hit parade to see what number it was. It only got to number 2, but it was there for a long time.
Wow, and your aunt, bless her.
Those are the people, those were my role models, those women, the women in television and in movies. If you had to put a rack around your head and say, "I don't know nothing about birthing no babies, Miss Scarlett," that's what you did. And I don't fault them at all. They got the jobs that they could get. And when I first worked at Desilu, because I was the only black woman there, other than
Desilu as in?
The studio. Because when Watts
Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz.
Yeah, Lucy was a wonderful woman. She was the reason that actors get money these days, because she filmed her shows and then they were able to show them again and they got the residuals. So St. Louis, the residuals.
Incredible. I didn't know that. I've always heard about Lucille Ball being incredibly powerful.
Oh yeah, the first woman to run a studio. All those things. So when I, when I left the Desilu to go to another job, I trained someone in my job, and Friday morning, I called and said, guys, I quit. I won't be in on Monday. However, there's a person here who knows my job. And passed it on. That's all I
Bless.
could do.
Bless.
And I take that out of my hand.
I love your story. I wanted to ask Mikey about what it was like to perform on at TEDx.
Nerve.
Was that crazy?
Absolutely nerve-wracking. I hadn't had a lot of public speaking experience at that point either, and an opportunity to share something that I deeply passionately believed in. And I remember going on stage, or just before going on stage, and I couldn't remember my first 5 lines. Just going, yeah. So it was a little scary, but I look back at that now and think that was it's such an opportunity now to tell a story I deeply believe needs to be told, and TEDx, the conference, if you have the chance to go to one, there's always fascinating people there who speaking's one thing, but there's always amazing minds there, and the way they run the conference is not like a talking heads thing. It's always like they create interactions, they create ways that you meet people in ways like serendipitously that you wouldn't ordinarily meet. So I really had an amazing time. And I think if you wanted to have an opportunity like that, people say, how do I get to know? I'd say just deeply, passionately do what you want, create.
Do. Because I think that's what we do, right? We all do.
Yeah.
We just do it, right?
And it just comes from that.
Not waiting for what seems to me like there's a group of people somewhere controlling it all, and it seems like there's no way or chance for any of us to do anything if you look at it, but if you just do it. Simon?
Yes.
Passion.
So I just want to get back, your images of Bangladesh, they've uplifted the country and the people's self-esteem. Would you say that?
Yeah, I would say that. Unfortunately, we're not joined by any Bangladeshis tonight. I don't think there's any here tonight. But I do meet the community, the Bangladeshi community here once in a while, and because people in Bangladesh know that's the image of their country, that starving child that I showed there. So I think it actually really impacts their self-esteem at a really, really deep level.
Because
so
you're reflecting the beauty in the
and when
the place and the people.
When you give
as well
that back, and it's not that you're giving that back, it's that they're giving it to you. You want to reflect that hospitality back to them, that energy back to them. It's a really wonderful feeling that anybody would not only take the beautiful parts of the culture and want to share it, but then just be so, it's just an energy that refills itself is what it is. It's they're giving me something. It's not material. It's not, it's just kindness. It's just what we used to do before we got all concerned about money and material and status. It's just kindness. It's just, like we're just humans. That's the thing they still have that I just feel that I have to share with others, and that's why, that's something that when somebody is out there, they're immensely happy with that, and I get to meet them, the Bangladeshi community around the world, and it's really just it's like connecting with something deeper.
Because it does feel like that sometimes, that whole disconnection that seems to be growing more with the technology and the stuff that's out there. It feels like that to me. I don't know.
And inequality, I just want to say, yeah.
And inequality. Chris, what else are you inspired to write about in your poetry?
A bunch of things. Actually, when I go back to Malaysia, I'll be writing 3 different pieces coming up. But nowadays, I'm really interested in opportunities to collaborate with people. So, for example, crossing languages and crossing cultural divides and things like that. So, when I'm going back in Sabah, we'll be performing with Bobo Hizan, which is they like to call it like a traditional priestess. It's like a spiritual healer, if you like. And so we're going to be combining some English poetry with some kind of spiritual healing chanting, and then with this young guy that I found in this like really rural town who's actually like a really killer like beatboxer. So we're going to try and combine the three and try and do something like that. And then there's this other friend who's a fashion designer, and she really wants to do kind of dresses that are really inspired by poetry and dresses that have like poetry message around them. So we're doing something like that. And then there's another project that we're working on to try and save a beach that's getting kind of developed by these big hotels and things like that. And we're doing a kind of some of my poetry with dancing and then a cello player. So to try and kind of combine those things. And right now I just, regardless of what it is, you know, you can write poetry about anything. You can write poetry about, you know, going to the street, having a coffee or something like that. But for me, what really excites me is like opportunities to collaborate and opportunities just to find someone and try and connect two different art forms, or try and connect their insights with what you can do and trying to connect like that. And that's what I find really exciting.
I wanted to ask about your accent. Is it German or is it Malaysian? I mean, is it a hybrid? You remind me of Josh Thomas. Is it Josh Thomas, the comic? The stand-up? He's got an accent as well.
Really?
But you don't know where he's from.
Yeah, no, I don't know. I mean, I've never actually been to Germany.
Oh, wow. That's interesting. I totes thought you were from there, or someone in your family. Do you write? I mean...
Is this one of the Carnival of the Bold questions?
Yeah, no, that's mine. That's mine. I take complete responsibility. Wow, awkward moment. I wanted to ask Melanie a question. Melanie, tell us about some of the things that children have commented about your art, about your book, your work. What kind of comments from children do you get?
One of the interesting things that springs to mind is we showed the book to some preschoolers very early on, and the preschool teacher read the whole story through, and then when she finished, all the boys said, "Read it again and make it be a boy." So I knew very early on, you know, that I needed to also create a boy in the world, so that that he could exist. And also, when I first had the illustrations and the story, I hand printed copies and took them into the local school, and I left it in the library there. I talked to the kids at the assembly and told them about the book, and then I left a copy in the library for them to look through, and I left some cards with the book and some pencils so they could comment on their thoughts and feelings about the book. And I actually have quite a few of those lists. I've got if you Google A Girl in the World, you'll get a website and a blog as well, and I've posted them on the blog because like that is my favourite part of why I do what I do. Like it impresses me not if you're impressed by what I'm doing, but it's the kids. Like, you know, all it takes is one comment from one kid that relates to the pictures in the book and that says, I know that feeling, like when the world's on top of me, and it's because mum and dad are fighting, or, you know, because I'm being bullied at school, or I know what it's like to try and find the balance because I live with mum and I live with dad, and, you know, so it's kind of, that's the most important stuff to me, and I get feedback like that all the time. So, you know, the book, the purpose that it was created for is you know, the feedback that I'm getting is that that's what's happening.
And is that feeding back into your next work?
Yeah, so the
next work.
The next book is A Girl in the World Follows Her Dreams, and that book and A Boy in the World and a relaunch of A Girl in the World will be happening early next year, and also a launch for The Creative Kind, which will be a new initiative which will be all about, you know, really kind of pushing that whole idea that we're all creative, and you know, that creativity and kindness, you know, in particular the musing of those two energies and ideas have the power to create, you know, change on a massive level, like internally for people and externally in all our environments.
It's a very powerful message, the whole idea of taking what is bugging you, or what is painful, or what is joyous in celebration, and putting it into art. I mean, that's putting it into that work. I mean, I call it work, but, you know, you're putting, you know, it's the channel. I wanted to ask Claire, and I wanted to welcome Beryl from One World Choral. I'm so sorry before about the introduction. Thanks, Simon. But I wanted to ask you about, like, what are there other in your music? Is it primarily African songs that you sing, or are there other parts of the world and that you want to sing about?
When I started the choir, my vision was for this group to sing songs from, you know, different cultures, so that we can educate each other about music from our cultures. And we've only been going for 18 months, so a lot of time has been spent on African music, because a lot of our events have come from that. But my vision is for this group to, you know, introduce all of us to different music that's important to them, and that you know, they can suggest to the choir to just to learn to sing, and that way we can, you know, learn more about each other. The music that we chose tonight is from my background.
What is your background?
South African. So, and these songs, they've learned, I hope, some of the music that shaped my life and that was important, or that I got to know when I was growing up. But I'd like to, you know, we're such a diverse group that we can all teach each other, you know.
How does that work with your group? How do you recruit or get people involved from the community?
It's a community choir, so we advertise locally, word of mouth. People come to our events and see the choir, and so they join. And while I'm not musical, I just have the dream, and I rely on people like Claire to come and
so you're the
alive. Yeah.
Are you the artistic director of the choir? Yeah.
And Claire's only been with us for 4 weeks. She worked
Oh my
miracles.
God.
You will not believe what she's done for
Well
tonight.
done, Claire. Claire, what's your background? What's your cultural background?
Well, I'm actually half Italian, half Lebo.
Full on, love. Full on.
And, you know, born here. And next year I'm marrying a guy who's half New Zealand, half German, brought up in India. Without a word of a lie.
Amazing. Sounds like you, right? Wow. Australia's so interesting. It is, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it.
I love that.
And I have to say, look, I've only been with this choir for 4 weeks, and they've just been absolutely amazing. And I'm so thrilled to be working with such a great group of people.
They're great.
And they're all
Beautiful.
fantastic, and I'm so proud of them. They've just done such a great job given the very short period of time I've been with them. So well done, guys. Great.
Yeah, you're fantastic to watch. You're so physical and, you know, get right in there. Should we get you guys to ask some questions? Mark, how are we going to do this? Where's our wonderful Mark, who's keeping this all flowing? So it's like Oprah in the early days. Are we going into the audience? And remember when she used to go into the audience? A long time ago. Do you have any questions? Oh my God, I brought the worst mic for this. Actually, what we'll do is we'll use this for you guys. And then, yeah. Any questions?
Thanks, guys, for putting on a wonderful event. It's been fantastic. Can you hear that?
Can we take the lights down? Take the house lights down so we can see the audience.
If we can have the house lights down a bit so we can see the audience, that'd be wonderful.
I was just going to say thanks, guys, for putting on a wonderful event.
Can you put your hand up wherever you're speaking?
Here.
Oh,
sorry. I'm wearing black as well just now. Jeremy. Yeah. My question is, what plans does Carnival of the Bold have for going forward?
Let's get Kevin and Zara on stage. Yeah, let's get Kevin and Zara. Where are they? Come on, guys. This is Kevin and Zara. They've worked really, really hard.
This was not in the run sheet.
I know, right? Can I just say, Rob, there's a buzz. Can it? Oh. What was your question again?
Was that the question? Yeah. What do you want to see? We made this space for you and for you. And earlier we got asked, what's the vision, what's the plan, and we have a lot of ideas, but really you create the space. And it was an idea, and it's still an experiment, and we want to see what happens in this space. So I just want to know what's transpired for you. Maybe you've been inspired, maybe you've met people, maybe you've met each other, and your art will be influenced by some of the other people here. Maybe there's artists in the audience and you've got new ideas for your work, or maybe you've thought about taking your work and applying it to social change, and maybe this is the launching point. And if you're not an artist, maybe you just enjoy being provoked and thinking about new issues. So I don't know. We would love to hear your thoughts, and if you want to share it now, or you want to write into us or comment on the Facebook page or whatever. What's the experience been for the artists? I think we think, and you can confirm this or not, sometimes it's hard when you're traveling a journey alone and you're tackling big issues like social change. It's hard being an artist, it's hard trying to tackle big issues, and if you're doing both, it's like double hard. So if we bring everyone together, maybe you find some solidarity in feeling like, we're all in this together. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So, and Kevin, maybe you want to.
Next question. Any other questions? Well, it's good night and thank you, Newtown. Well, it is 11 o'clock.
Oh, it is. Oh my God.
Are there any other questions? No. Oh. Very handsome man up there. I don't know. Sorry, was that a question? Oh, am I an artist? Sorry. Yeah, I guess. I mean, I do a bit of this and a bit of that. I just call it work, right? Right? We're working. We're working, damn it. Don't put me in no box. Because, that is the thing, isn't it, for us? It's that thing of people want to put you in this little thing so they know, oh, he's over there, that one. But I feel really blessed. I mean, I feel like I'm one of those sneaky ones that got through somehow, just sort of did stuff, right? I've got to do really interesting things. I mean, I don't have the career of Kate Blanchett or Russell Crowe, but I mean, I get to do interesting things, and I love it. So yeah, artist.
Has anybody in the audience got an idea of what they want to do with their
We need to give you the mic.
Thank you for every single artist for being here and giving your soul and truth, and thank you for the organizers and everybody here, because we're all co-creating this together. It's really poignant to me that artists for social change is what's needed globally, locally, regionally, and to not be underestimating why we're here. Like, revolution is right now. So I really respect your offer to write it out and email it out. But we're here. We're here now. Like, we've come together. And tonight has been this epic, meaningful, soulful, truthful evening. So kudos and respect to all of you sitting here in your truth. So, that's the offer. We're here. So whether it's 11 or 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock, are we really serious about this? If we're serious, then we should all get to know each other right now. Not tomorrow, not next week, not another event, not another proposal. So yeah, that's if I may, that's my truth right now. A lot of us in this room have committed our lives to this and to really respect it. So I'm here in just gratitude, deep, deep gratitude and honoring and in service. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you
Kamalea.
for that.
So.
I think Chris wants to say something.
Yeah, it's kind of funny you say that, because I was kind of hoping someone would say something along those lines, because I got a friend in the audience that I was hoping to introduce you all to, if you don't mind. Because, so basically I came back to Australia about a week and a half ago, and I was emailing people that I knew in the poetry scene saying, hey, I always talk about this collaboration nonsense and I want to collaborate with someone back in Australia. So I met this new friend, and I was wondering if we kind of wrote this piece about one of her friends, and I was wondering if we could perform it for you guys right now.
Yes.
So if we could get the other microphone, and everyone give a big round of applause for Eunice. She's just walking on stage here. So we're going to perform a piece about one of Eunice's friends, who is actually a painter. And so, put, what do they say? A painting paints 1,000 words, right? But since she's not here, we're wondering if you could kind of do the opposite. And because she's a painter and she's not here, we're wondering if you guys could all close your eyes and just try and listen to the words and try and paint a picture in your own mind. And see if we can get some, see what you guys see when you hear the poem. So you think that's okay with you guys? Yeah. Okay.
Her radiance spilled out of almond-shaped eyes as her mother held her close, as though she were a sputtering flame in the dark. She could not ignore the birthmark staining her baby's chest, a bullseye painted by those who could not accept the way her people looked and prayed to the same God. They called her Shakufa, blossom, and perhaps she was named after the flowers of uncertainty, fated to unfurl in her father's chest that night, when the gunshots would ring loudest and drown out his whispered prayers. He had scraped his ribcage clean, prepared fertile soil where his heart should have been long before she was born, so she would thrive, even in the most glacial winters of Afghanistan.
Where his passage began. Back against the walls of an Afghani desert, and the quicksand traps trailing footsteps, family, friends, and acquaintances of anyone brave enough to stand. Fists and eyes in the firing line of this former activist, Shakufa's father. The man who held her petals in his palm as he raised his right Hazara hand to the hills of Taliban hideouts and held out his left over the portside sea breeze salts that scattered his skin-scarred, thorned forearm that refused to forget the blossom he boarded ships and drifted across seas of asylum for. He paved the Pacific Ocean each day with the bricks he would build his new house with in the spring. He was finally free from the sweat-dew drips that used to run steam trains horizontal across his forehead with the, "Will this day be the end?" he said. Small enough so the wound-down eyes of obvious windows might not read widows on his lips, and later, with a deep breath, on the wrong side of a detention center security check,
decked to his knees, and robbed of days at a time by the paperweight giants of an asiophile and a new election. He surrendered 6 months after his boats injected hope beneath his cocoa-brown skin, numbing the migraine memory that every day he waited. At the ballpoint border of a declaration paper, his wife and daughter remained behind, waiting for a sign his boat had arrived in peace.
There are days she can't bring herself to speak. She has burned her tongue too many times on the bitter notion of hope, playing with words too big to find shelter under the roof of her mouth. She is far from Quetta, from Karachi, from Afshar, but she still remembers how her mother trembled, feels the earthquakes in her chest, tests the fault lines in her breath, face her grandmother's gaze full of questions she could never answer. Shakufa has found a home here, but she still cannot find the answers. Not in her paintings, not inside the classrooms of Afghani children to whom she teaches Farsi, a mother tongue clipped from infancy. She wants to ask her grandmother whether her students will start to hear death sentences in their lullabies, whether they can sleep after learning to spell their lost brothers' names in their native alphabet, whether the caskets they build boats from will ever turn into beds.
He still sleeps rough, a little shaken up by the hope he almost gave in the marble-floored days and the BBC nights as he wondered, will this day be the end? Small enough not to threaten his faith, but strong enough to crack the stained glass eyes that stared into the past. But he was past that stage. Every morning at 8 a.m. when he walked his daughter's autumn leaf hands to the school bus stand.
We met at a gallery in Parramatta, where she stood against a wall, hands clasped in front of her and smiling shyly in front of visitors. Her painting, surrounded by so many other refugee stories, is on the largest canvas in the exhibit. She tells me there are 3 elements to her painting: pain, loss, and paradise. I wonder if she has found the last. She said she's heard old men saying, it's not everyone's place to come to Australia. From the way she smiles and looks the other way, I can tell she has. Thank you.
So, can anyone here guess how old Eunice is? Yeah. Eunice, how old are you?
I'm 16.
Ay, ay, ay.
I think I'm MC now. Do we have any more questions? I think we've come to the natural point where we should end the night. Just want to say thank you for being here. And thank you all for just being a part of this, because there's no show without you. There's so many people that are part of this that I'll try to name, but I don't think I can. We've got volunteers, stage managers, sound manager who didn't even get in the program guide because we had to send it off to print. We've got partners and sponsors, which digital storytellers up the back there, they're capturing all this. We've got, I can't see anything, Dusk, photographer, and we've got Mabuzi, who've nicely given us t-shirts for the volunteers. Kevin.
Yeah. So we'd just like to announce the Sharing Tree winner. So Simon will, you've picked a name. Yep. So Simon, why don't you?
This is and the prize for this was this is they asked me to go through everything that you guys have written on the tree and to pick out a winner from that one. It was actually the one in the blue text, and I need to put my glasses back on again. Hang a second. I actually picked 2 just in case someone had already left because we wanted them to be here. I'll read it out. It's just a simple one that spoke to me. I believe art has the power to inspire empathy, and empathy is a cornerstone for awareness and all positive social change movements. It's just a really simple thing. And it was by David Huang. Is there a David Huang here? Sorry? Is that? Oh, it's one of the volunteers. I actually spoke to this guy. Congratulations. That seems really rigged, actually, doesn't it? No.
Ladies and gentlemen, please thank all of our wonderful artists who came tonight. And I just want to say a special thank you to Groundswell Arts for their support. Groundswell Arts New South Wales will officially launch on the 13th of February 2014 in the Utson Room in Sydney Opera House. Groundswell's mission is to advance the arts in New South Wales so that they reflect its culturally diverse society. Groundswell's Arts New South Wales will work towards achieving equal opportunities for culturally diverse arts and the fair distribution of resources, and provide opportunities and services to members as it grows in strength and numbers. We invite you to become a member and attend the launch in February next year. And to find out more, they have a Facebook page, Groundswell Arts New South Wales. And Zara and Kevin, did you want to say anything else before we wrap? Okay, cool. We're all heading to Buzz Bar, and if you guys want to hang and, talk more and, exchange ideas, that's at 349 King Street, and it's like 5 minutes away, and intersection of King Street and Enmore Road. You've been a great audience. Thank you so much.